Hey there, welcome back. My name is Avril, and in this corner of the internet, we chat about writing, life, and whatever else comes to mind. And today I wanted to share a little bit about one of my favorite traditions when I'm beginning a new project. Candles have been part of my writing process for a long time. And whether you're looking to add some gentle lighting and make things a little cozy, or you're diving into aromatherapy, candles are an easy and often inexpensive way to add a personal touch to your writing area. And quite a few of us will take that a step further with a story candle. A story candle is essentially a candle that you have lit while you're working on your current project. And it's a way to not only feel more connected to it, but to create a more immersive environment that tells your brain that it's time to write. When I'm picking out a candle for myself, I usually gravitate toward the clean and cozy and warm fragrances. Things like Laundry Day and lavender have kind of been my go-to as of late. But when I'm picking out a story candle, that is an entirely different story. Now, for me, my story candles are all...
Hey, beautiful, you've got a text message.
Okay, I'm gonna mute that real quick. When I'm picking out a story candle, I usually like to think about the smell and how it connects to the story. Maybe it reminds me of a character or an important place in the story. I feel like my current project, A Tided Love, is a very setting-based story candle. I find that I'm really leaning into driftwood and sea salt and ocean waves and anything along that line, because the setting is really what captivates me about this project right now. That, and I don't think a tobacco candle would go as well, even though that feels like a very Thomas smell, to be honest. And then with Bound to the Heart, I was really leaning into more wintry smells that weren't too festive. And also a lot of like oak smells and anything more woody, because that was kind of where my brain went with Zach. I just think it's a fun and easy way to feel a little more connected to your story. And while I'm thinking of it, you're not just limited to candles. You can also go for wax melts or room fresheners, whatever really helps you settle into that vibe. I feel like a story candle can also really help trigger your brain to know when it's time to write and really focus and settle in, especially if you have a smell that's either really calming or really helps with concentration. As an example, it's very common to find bedtime products that are lavender scented, because it is a calming smell and helps kind of settle the brain at the end of the day. And I think that's one of the reasons it really helps to have that designated writing candle, whether it is a story candle that you've chosen because it reminds you of your project, or it's an aromatherapy candle that is geared toward concentration and focus. Now, I am not an expert on aromatherapy, but I do have a blog post about aromatherapy for writers that I will have linked below. But that does kind of beg the question. What if I can't find the fragrance I need in a story candle right now? And that is where I tell you, have you tried candle making? Candle making is actually pretty easy to get into. I got a starter kit online for really cheap, and it had all of the essentials I needed to get going. And I've also gotten additional fragrances on Etsy and websites like Candle Science. So this one here, this is actually the first one I made. So this one here is actually more of a generalized writing candle. So the jar is thrifted, and then this is all made with that starter kit aside from the wooden wicks and some of the fragrances in here. And then the wax and everything came with the kit. I don't know how well this is going to translate, but if you look, you can kind of see the little lavender buds on the rim. Should I be an influencer right now? Just And the candle itself, I used the lavender and rose from the kit, but then I also added rain and old books. And then I also went with the wooden wicks because it really embodies that feeling of writing in a cabin on a reading night with a fireplace. And then for this project that I haven't actually really announced yet, I've only kind of alluded to, I have this one. And the thing about this candle is I kind of cheated a little bit. This one here I feel is kind of a good middle ground if you want to try candle making, but you don't want to commit to a full kit. So this one is actually from Bath & Body Works, but it is modified. I was looking specifically for a lavender lemonade candle because I have the scene in my head where there is a lavender lemonade cocktail. I couldn't really find a lavender lemonade candle, And I think it was just before they would begin rolling out the lemonade candles. So then I was kind of thinking about what if I got a lemon candle and a lavender candle and just had them going at the same time. But I couldn't quite find the pairing that I wanted. So what I did was I got this lavender bergamot candle. And when I got home, I melted it. I made like a double boiler on the stove and just melted it all down. And then I added a lavender essential oil to it to kind of create that fragrance that I really wanted. And I actually had this one going a little bit last night during my writing group meeting because I was working on this project. So I'm not up to the lavender lemonade scene yet, but it was really nice to have that to get in the zone a little bit. So all of that to say, if you can't find the story candle that you're really looking for, you can just make it yourself. It's just another way to really personalize your writing process and make it feel like yours. But let me know if you are a writer who uses story candles or you're thinking about trying it, what scents you're going with. I would love to know in the comments what your vibe is. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time here with me in this corner of the internet. And I guess this is the part where I tell you to like and subscribe and do all those things. And one thing I did forget to mention in my AuthorTube newbie tag is if there are any questions about writing or things you want to see me cover on the channel or questions about my own projects, let me know. And on that note, I will see you in the next one. Bye.